don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD, Annabelle, and Melissa.
Hey guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD with my wonderful co-host Melissa, and we got a real treat for you today. We have a best-selling author. We have an individual who's raised over $30 million in private money. Dan, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks, Dan.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. Some things that people might not know about you. Well, I don't know why they wouldn't know it about you because you're all over everything, all social medias. You run Zitofsky's Capital Management and the Passive Wealth Academy, which is an education platform. Is that right?
Correct.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, we're really excited to have you share some of your knowledge with our listeners today. But let's just say that maybe there's one or two people that listen to our podcast that don't know who you are. Can you kind of give us a rundown of your background and where you're at now and how you serve everybody?
Sure. I appreciate it. I'm gonna kind of sum it up a little quicker than normally when I'm on an event on stage. I'm in the industry now. We just talked about 30 years. I can't even believe I said that. But 30 years, I've probably been where most people are at with their real estate investing career. I started off, actually bought my first rental at 18, but I started off in the business like everybody else, wholesaling, got into fix and flipping, did multifamilies. I owned over 800 doors of multifamilies at one time. Bought and sold a couple of hotels, land deals, seller financing, private lending, note. I'm a big note investor. So basically what happened is back in the day, I'll just summarize it real quick. Back in the day, I was flipping anywhere from 40 to 50, 60 properties every single year, no less, sometimes even more. And I would net $50,000 to $80,000 at least on a property on a flip. So if it wasn't that much, I would just wholesale it off. So I was making multiple seven figures a year after year. But I was working 100 hours plus a week. I had all the toys anyone could imagine. I had the most beautiful cars that you can imagine. The stuff that people put on social media and show off. I had those cars. Still have them because we have them. We already bought them out. Boats. I have a watch collection that could probably choke a horse. And I don't say that to impress you. I say it to impress upon you that I thought I had the best life in the world, but ultimately I was living a lie. I was building my own ego because the way I grew up, I should have been a statistic. Didn't grow up in the greatest household in the world. I always swore to myself that I'm going to be rich one day and be successful and be happy. Well, I was very wealthy, and I think I thought I was successful, buying my wife anything she wanted, the car she wanted, the jewelry she wanted, the vacation she wanted, until I was missing my kids' events, missing being home. And we'd go out to dinner on a Sunday night, and at 9 o'clock at night, I'm sitting outside with my contractors, my realtors, discussing issues. And I would come in my wife would be at dinner with another couple and herself, and they'd wrap my dinner up and leave. And I still remember to this day, we had this blown out fight, and my wife and I was yelling it. We were yelling back and forth. And I'm like, I've given you everything you wanted. How can you be, I've given you cars, I've given you whatever you wanted. I've given you. And she basically came out and was like, you're a horrible husband, horrible father. You're not there. We don't want that. You want that. I didn't want that. And literally it was a stabbing at me in the back. So I realized back then, and that's why, we talk about passive to prosperous. I realized back then that I had to change the way I was doing business. And I didn't know what to do, because really all I knew how to do to make a lot of money was flip houses or wholesale houses. Very transactional. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that because I know a lot of people on here are probably very transactional in their business. They watch Flip This House. They see people wholesaling. So it was very transactional. I didn't know what else to do. So I said, when you flip a house for $50,000 to $60,000, or you could rent the property and make $300 a month, it's probably a lot sexier for people if they had that $50,000, $60,000, right. Sometimes $100,000. But when you start adding that $300 or $400 or $500 a month to your portfolio, hundreds of times a month, it gets pretty damn sexy. And when you can do whatever you want to do with your life, and I'm not saying this to impress anybody, but I can do whatever I want with whomever I want, anytime I want. That's pretty sexy. And that's the life I want to live. And I'm putting this out there because if I ask most people, my mastermind, I ask most people, why are you doing what you do? And it's, I want my husband or wife or partner to stop working. I want to retire. I want to send my kids to school. I hate my 9 to 5. So their vision is this way, right? But their actions start to go this way. They start to go in, left field. And that's what I talk about. So since 2009, I've really started building a passive income. I always had rentals, but I built a pretty large portfolio of rental properties and seller finance notes to investors. Mm-hmm. And that brings me money every single month. I build it in a way, I talk about how to build that portfolio in a way where it's almost as maintenance free as possible. It's all built on people, processes, and systems. And yeah, there's still work involved, but I do what I want now, right? I get to do a podcast. I would never be able to do this at middle of the day, take off and be able to speak to you without my phone going crazy. I wouldn't even do it. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened. That's the fast forward. I mean, I can go really deep into it, but that's the fast forward on why I do what I do. Okay. And how I do it is I raise a lot of private money. And I decided back in 2009, 10, 11, when the market tanked, and I'll talk a little bit about that more, I'm sure, here, that at that time, I had 8 properties that were ready to be flipped, 8 of them ready to be flipped, and 3 on the contract to purchase. Now, the ones that are ready to be flipped, obviously the banks were funding those deals for my buyers. At that point, the banks pulled out all their financing. So those 8 deals didn't close. I had 3 contracts for myself to buy with money going hard. So I was going to lose all that money. Hard money lenders at that time all pulled out, and they said, just like they did at the beginning of this pandemic. Yeah, they all either pulled out or they changed their terms, right?
Mm-hmm. Both sometimes,
Yeah. So you didn't have a business. I swore to my wife back then, I said, I will never let my business be ran by a bank or hard money lender ever again. And I had to figure out a way to do it. It was hard. I made it happen. And I decided at that point that I'm going to come up with a private lending presentation, that I'm going to meet with people and I'm going to build private money. And I'll tell you this to this day, I never asked, still to this day, anybody for money. I never put a post on social media saying I need money. My biggest problem now is my private lenders are holding on to their money and they keep hitting me up asking me what they should do with their money. That's the biggest problem. And that's not a joke. I know people think I'm kidding. It's anyone out there that has good private lenders will feel the same pain I feel. You almost feel like sometimes you feel the stress, like you have to find a deal just to get their money in play. And then, so when I ask people, what is your biggest issue? Because in our group, we ask people, what's the biggest issue you need help with? And the mastermind, so we ask people, the 2 things we get, but it's a resounding, over 90% of it is money. And the second one is leads, right? It's over 90% of people need money. And I just can't imagine, because what's happening is nobody's learning how to get money. Everyone's looking for the easy way out with hard money lenders. Everyone's looking for hey, let me put something on social media. Hey, I have a deal. Who wants to fund it with a guaranteed return? And you're not in SEC compliance. You can get yourself in trouble. Okay. You don't look real to any real, I can't imagine any real private lender with money in an IRA or a 401k or a Coverdell wanting to invest in your deal because you put something on social media. If you were that good of an investor, people are going to chase you down, not the other way around. So I would love to help your audience. And, if I can drop some golden nuggets for them that they can take action today and start raising private money, I'm happy to.
I think that's exactly what everybody's always looking for. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, we just got out of a mastermind down in Miami last week. Mm-hmm. And that was lead flow and money are the 2 main things, not necessarily in that order, but it's either one or the other every single time. And I think that both of those things are a challenge that you can overcome. We see hundreds of investors all over the country that have overcome those challenges. But when you're first starting out and you're first looking at that, you don't know what to do. And I think that's where we see a lot of those social media posts that are not SEC compliant coming from, is because these guys are trying to take action. They just need more direction, or, they're trying to get to A to Z without a roadmap. And I think if we could talk about some of the things that, will guide those people onto the right path, or at least where to research and how to learn that stuff. Because nobody's teaching you nobody's coming to you to tell you, hey, this is what you need to do. If you're not searching it out, you're not going to find that information. So
right. And I understand. And some of the things we could talk about is if people are in your group, they have the ability to find a mentor and pay for a mentor, or not just ask for a mentor for free, bring that mentor a tremendous amount of value.
Yes.
Right. If you need money, it might mean you have a deal already, right? So I could tell you this, and I'm sure if somebody came to you and said, hey, I have this phenomenal deal, I want you to mentor me. I don't even want anything for it. I just want you to teach me for free. You keep it all. I'm going to bring you the deal, or I'm going to bring you the money, and you show me how to do it. What would you say?
Absolutely.
Yeah, all day. Yeah.
Because I'm bringing you value, right? This whole thing with can I take you for coffee and pick your brain for 3 hours is the worst thing in the world that you could do. I mean,
We always say that to people too.
Yeah.
How about a drink? How about dinner? How about a week in our short term?
Yeah.
Well, I got a bet. I have a friend of mine who's an investor. He teaches as well. And he says, sure, you could buy me coffee. I'm going to tell you where in Paris I want to go.
Oh, that's a good one.
Here's where I'm going to be staying. You can book my hotel, and here's my first class tickets I want you to pay for, and maybe I'll meet you for coffee. I mean, you don't do that. That's the first thing is you got to learn how people, unfortunately, like when I mentor people, right? I always tell them the first thing to do is before you even put up your social media, before you even have a social media, right? I want you to use a maps. I want you to map out your plan, right? I don't want you to go on there and ask anybody. You don't ever ask for money. I want you to actually put a plan together. First thing you should do, anybody, is come up with your bio. Put a bio together, right? Who you are, the 5 W's, who, what, when, where, why. Why are you investing in that area you're in? Because that's what I'm going to ask you if you ask me for money. Why you're in that area? What's your plan? Who's on your team? I want to know who's on your team. Don't say I have a contractor. Tell me who that contractor is. Okay. I want to make sure they're licensed. Who's your realtor? Who's your property manager? Who's your attorney? I want to know who your whole team is. Okay. Right. You should think about this as almost like a business plan. Put together a business plan, a professional business plan. If you don't know how to do it, get somebody else to do it for you. All right, there's a million people on Fiverr. You can go to virtual assistants. In your group, there's somebody who you can work together with and say, can you help me put together a business plan? Okay. That's the first thing you want to do is have a business plan. Okay. And then you want to know what your plan is, what your plan of action is. Are you going to flip? Are you looking to fix and flip? Are you looking for rentals? Are you looking to do seller financing? What is it you're looking to do? Okay. You need to put that together. Okay. So that's the first thing you need to put together. And then if you don't have deals, if you haven't done any deals yet, well, work with a mentor who's done deals. Say, I'm going to work with JD. He's done 50 deals in the last 2 years. Okay. He's going to be mentoring me. Okay. And you already said you would mentor somebody if they brought you deals, right?
Right.
So now I could use JD's name and say JD is mentoring me. Okay. Or I could use Sally's name or Joe's name or whoever it is in that area, but you should have a mentor, right? You shouldn't go out this without a mentor. I don't believe in, hey, you should just do this on YouTube TV and risk your investors $200,000, on a whim. You should also start off and say, listen, I'm going to put skin in the game as well. And if you don't have money to put skin in the game, well, you better figure out how to get that money. It could be friends, family. It could be $10,000, $20,000. You could use credit card cash advances. Okay. Because an investor, when you're new, if you could tell an investor, I put skin in the game, so I'm not just asking you to put up all the risk, that I'm going to put up some risk here too, it goes off a lot better. And then you have to do your due diligence. And when I say your due diligence, you don't ask for money, but you present to your investor, hey, here's the deals. Even if you want to go on social media, look, you could take your phone right now, right? And just turn on Facebook Live and walk around I just looked at 2 properties this morning. You can look at 2 properties right now. Hey, this is what I'm buying. This is what I'm thinking of doing. This is what the rehab's going to cost. This is my plan. And you just put it out there. You don't ask for money. People will hit you up left and right to ask you questions. Okay. So you can put it out there too and tell people, this is my contract, that this is my scope of work. This is my draw schedule. This is my plan. Do an Excel spreadsheet or use a program to show people what your strategies are and how much you plan on making on this deal so they can look at it without you just slapping some junk against the wall and hoping it sticks. I mean, I can't tell you how many people, experienced or not, ask me for money and they don't even tell me the address. They don't tell me what the after repair value is. They don't tell me what the rehab costs are. They don't tell me what the what the rental price is in that area. The rental market is in the area. They don't tell me anything. I have to draw it out of them. And I just don't have time to do that with all the deals crossing our desk. I just do not have time to do that. So I don't take you serious. And when I don't take you serious, I kind of turn off and you have that one shot, right, to make that first impression. And the other thing you have to do is you go to events. Right now, a lot of live events are done. But when I'm on stage speaking, I teach this class on how to raise private money. One of the first things I talk about is your elevator pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I ask, and I go around the room and I ask everybody, what do you do? And I get, people are embarrassed. People have no answers. People like, I'm a real estate investor. People like, I'm an engineer. I do real estate. Not one person gets it right unless they've heard me speak about it. And I'm going to tell everybody here right now, if they want to write it down, they can record it. You want to have your elevator pitch down. I'll tell you my elevator pitch every single time. Okay. Depending on the deal I do. Once again, my name is Dan Zitofsky. I raise capital to buy distressed debt, providing better than average returns to my investors. I'm Dan Zitofsky. I raise capital to buy distressed debt, providing better than average return to my investors. And I shut up. I don't say another word. And they start asking me questions. And that's when we get into a further conversation. I don't throw up at the mouth. I raise capital. Not one person in a room. If you're at an event and you're speaking, JD, guys, I'm telling you, ask people what they do. Not one person, unless they hear this, will say I raise capital.
Yeah.
How do I know what you do? Once you say I'm a real estate investor, it's risky. You bored me. You don't know what you're doing. I'm going to lose my money. If you're an engineer, I hate to say it, but even worse, you're going to analyze everything to death.
Yeah.
You're never going to take action. Okay. So that's going to happen. I do real estate. I don't know if you're a real estate agent. I don't know if you own rent. I don't know what you do. I zoned out. So unless you say I raised capital to buy distressed properties so I can rehab them and sell them for full market value, providing better than average returns to my investor. I raised capital to buy distressed real estate, to build my rental portfolio, paying better than average returns to I don't say how much I'm giving you. I'm paying better than average. Right. Average right now is like 0.01 or 0.02%.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a hard claim. Yeah.
I'm making the light bulb go off. I'm showing interest. And then we're having a conversation. I'm not going to present you a deal there. And then I talk more about doing private lender meetings. And now with Zoom, you can do them around the world.
Right.
I was doing them in person for years. You could do those. You could do them on Zoom. You could do them like this. You could have 5-6 people on Zoom and present your deal with a PowerPoint presentation. This is the deal I'm looking at. If you have any interest, we could talk further. Don't ask for money on the first time. You want to have a relationship with people, usually 3 meetings, 3 conversations, okay? 30 to 45 days knowing those people before you present them a deal. Okay? And then build this like what I'm saying is build this like a business, right? Treat it like a business. Treat it like you really care about that deal. You put your due diligence in. If you don't have experience, you know people with experience. Anyone that comes to me and says, Dan, I have this deal. I have the deal. Well, I'm in a situation where we have money, right? But even if I didn't have money, if you have the deal and you have some friends with money, we can work together and I can help put it together and show it to them. But at least you bring me value. Don't just come to me unless you're going to pay me for mentorship. And I'm very strict on who I take on as a student now. And I'm sure you guys are pretty strict as well, right? So, but if somebody says, hey, I can't pay you whatever your fee is, but I'm going to bring you a deal and I don't even want anything for it. Mm-hmm. I just want you to teach me. And you already said you would do it. So anyone in the group right now has mentors.
Yeah, that's true.
I think one of the reasons, because I remember when I first started listening to people talk about, not wanting to take on mentees, especially when they weren't providing value. I thought, oh man, when I get there, I'm always going to, provide this value and do that. I think it's worth saying that there's a reason behind that. It's one, you have your time is valuable, right? But before you put these policies in place, how many people did you talk to, have, hours long conversations explaining every detail of your business? And then they're just like, oh, you know what? Okay, maybe I'll try that next Monday, or they'll push it off. Right. And they didn't take the action. So now having that qualifier in the mentor-mentee relationship lets the mentor know that, they're going to do something. They're willing to take action, similar to putting the skin in the game for the private money lenders. Our time's valuable, your time's valuable. And if people aren't going to take a step forward and put themselves out there a little bit, it doesn't really serve us to waste time with people who are never going to do anything.
Well, I'll tell you one better. And I went, that's a great, you don't even know how powerful the statement you just made is. And I'll probably go deeper with it. I have 2 mentors myself, right? And I'm just so you understand, with my mentorships that I pay for and the events I go to, it's over 6 figures a year. And it's the best thing I ever did. And I'll tell you what, at one point, even before I started speaking publicly, which is now I've been speaking since the early 2000s publicly. And before I started mentoring and coaching, I used to work with people for free all the time. And I had zero success rate. And I didn't think, and I told my mentee, he says, why are you doing that? And I says, because I don't feel I have anything I could sell to anybody, right? I just didn't feel that my stuff was that valuable. And really, as long as you have a little bit more knowledge, you're more valuable, you can sell that stuff, right? And he says, you're actually screwing those people over. And I was taken back. And I said, well, how am I screwing them over? I'm not trying. He says, because you're working with people that have the ability to be phenomenal, but they're not valuing themselves because you're not valuing yourselves. So you're not setting them up because they're going to hit roadblocks. There's not one person I've mentored that didn't hit a roadblock. But when they're involved financially, they're going to get over that roadblock. Okay, well, when they go out and find a deal and work tirelessly to find a deal to prove to you, they're going to get over that roadblock. But by you doing that, you're letting them have the easy way out. And you just took somebody who could be great and you never let them hit their potential. So shame on you. And you know what? That stung me so hard. That really stung me. And it's so true. And that's why I'm very strict on who I mentor right now, right? And I very rarely take on one-on-one. I had a big one-on-one mentorship for probably 4 years. Mm-hmm. And my mentorship, I gave up a lot of money not doing one-on-one mentorship, but my vision and my why is not chasing money anymore. Who am I? It's not about the money anymore. And I know people get weird. They say, well, you could say that because you're there. Mm-hmm. And I understand, but it's my living a prosperous life. And who is Dan Zitofsky? I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I'm an uncle. I'm a friend. I'm a coach. I'm an entrepreneur. Nothing in there says I want to be a millionaire.
Right. And
people are like, well, you got there. And I'm very careful about saying that. But if it doesn't meet who Dan Zitofsky is exactly what I teach my students. If it doesn't meet that, I don't do it. And I'll give you a case, for instance. I just had an opportunity 2 weeks ago to open a roofing company, get involved in a roofing company. And I was going to do it because everything said to me, it was you spray these roofs and it saves these roofs, right? Now, I'll just tell you a quick story about it. And everything pointed that, and I came up with every excuse. And my mentor, I had to, if I'm being completely honest, he had to shut me down. I came up with every reason why I should do this roofing company. And I was scared to tell him because I'm going to make a lot of money doing it. And it was a lot of money out there to do it. But I wasn't chasing. He kept saying, nothing in your vision says you want to be a roofer. Well, I said, wait, but if I go on the roof, I don't have to do anything. If we can't do the spray, we refer it out to a roofer and we get 25%. Nothing said you want to be a roofer. I says, but I am in real estate. You know how many of those deals I can actually get? If a roof is disheveled, a lot of those people might be willing to just sell the house to us, but you're not a roofer. And he finally said to me, he says, what happens when the roofer doesn't show up? What happens when they fall off the roof? What happens when you have an insurance claim? What happens when he does a job and it's a bad job, right? So I was just chasing the money. Yeah. And it was the same thing with real estate coaching, mentorship. I mentored 8 people every 6 months, and there was a waiting list, and I did it twice a year. So most people would sometimes stay a year, but most of the time it's 6 months and then move on. And we did 16 people a year. And it got to the point where I started to hate what I was doing because I felt like I was forcing people to do what they should be doing. So it wasn't that I hated mentoring. I shouldn't even say hated. I disliked it. It wasn't that I disliked it. It was just the avatar of who I was mentoring, right? Mm-hmm. I started chasing the money of the one-on-one mentorship rather than the group mentorship that I love doing because I was chasing the money. So anytime you chase the money, it's going to be a problem, all right? But on mentorship, if you don't either charge for your time, okay, people are going to probably quit. I don't care what you say. They're right. There's enough free stuff out there. We have the YouTube page. Like I told you before, it's the Toxic Capital Management YouTube page. You can go on there and get free stuff all day long. But I love a mentor because a mentor holds you accountable. Right. I love to be the dumbest person in the room. So I always push my limits to be the dumbest person in the room. And I learned a lot. When my mentor told me, you're disservicing people because you're not charging them. When I had my own limited beliefs that I didn't believe I had enough knowledge to really, and I did. I mean, at that time I had over 20 years experience. I had enough knowledge, and I've done at that time, well over 2,000 deals. I had enough knowledge, but I just didn't feel I had enough. It was my own limited beliefs. So a lot of it is your own belief system. If you don't believe that you're worth the money to invest in yourself, that's a problem. I don't want to work with you, right? When people ask me how much I cost, I don't want to work with you because I don't cost anything. It's an investment in you. I'm just here to help you, right? I'm not a cost. Just like marketing. Marketing shouldn't be a cost, right? It should be an investment. Yep. If people think marketing is a cost in real estate, they have the wrong mindset. They'll never be successful because it's not a cost. You have to invest in yourself. You have to invest in your business. Otherwise, why would and here's the thing. If you don't put this out there, why would any private lender trust you with their money? So if you say, hey, I'm mentored by Dan Zitofsky or JD Monroe, if I'm mentored by you guys, well, I feel a lot more comfortable maybe investing in somebody that you guys are mentoring because you've done so many deals. You're not going to let them go sideways. Okay. So think about that, guys. It's very important in your bio if you put who you're mentored by.
Yeah, I do think that those are all really good points, and the limiting beliefs, something that everybody struggles with every day. And I know I've heard you talk about some of that stuff before. If we're gonna be respectful of your time and start to wrap things up, where do you think that our listeners could go to find more information about you and the services that you guys provide, the mentorship, things that you recommend, and all of that kind of stuff? Sure. Well,
the first thing I told you before, I always like to give out something for free when I speak. So we don't give this out unless we're speaking on a podcast or an event. So they can go to passivewealthacademy.com/42K. So passivewealthacademy.com/42K. And they'll get my free cheat sheet. They'll love that. I personally wrote that. I didn't do the graphics, but I personally wrote that myself. I didn't have anyone else write it. So it's something we just like to give out when we speak on stage. We can't literally hand them all out, so you'll get it right online. They could also grab a copy of the book on Amazon. It's a best-selling book, Passive to Prosperous. The first chapter is probably the most important. It'll tell you my why. And then the rest of the chapters will tell you about my how. And it actually has a chapter on how to raise money, how to create passive income, be in the bank, how to do, turnkey rentals in emerging markets. So it's an easy read. I put it together. It's a phenomenal book. But they can go to if they want to go to my Facebook group, which is free, they can just go to Become a Real Estate Investor with Dan Zitofsky. Just answer 3 questions to get in. And the 3 questions basically, what is your biggest issue that you need help with? And we use that because, like I said, 92% of people answered that was raising private money to actually put out content. So they can go in there if they're interested in learning about the mastermind, the online mastermind we're doing. We already have 21 people for the first group starting in February. Starting in the middle of February, we only have a spot for 4 more right now, and then we'll launch another group. But that will be launched later on. So we have some rock stars in that group. They can message me in that group or contact me in that group, and I'll give them a link and see if they're a fit. Or they can go to our YouTube page, which is free, and on YouTube it's under Zitofsky Capital Management. So I know there's a lot of different links there, but we try to put out so much free content for people if they want. But like I said, the rock stars in our group have joined the mastermind, and we're getting started. I think February 17th is the first online meeting. So we're looking forward to that. We kept it very inexpensive, but we have some rock stars in that group. And then we have our inner circle, but the inner circle is more of a one-on-one. We have up to 10 people in our inner circle. We're launching that, and that's going to be more one-on-one. We want to make sure that everybody is playing full out in that. High level thinkers in that group, business owners, and that's what that's about. Mm-hmm. So that's where we're at.
Awesome.
That's really
Thank you, Dan. That was great.
My pleasure.
Really appreciate you coming on, and we'll make sure we link everything in the show notes and all of that good stuff.
Awesome. If you need anything else, just let me know. Happy to do it.
Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.